Hello.
Welcome back to Mostly Arguing About Mars.
We're going to do another hour and a half on Mars today. Everybody strap in, get ready.
Yeah, before you turn it off, we're not doing that. But I think it went pretty well. I mean,
Yeah. The people got the answers they wanted.
the people did. I think most people were on my side.
They were. It's nice
Okay,
to have that finally be
yes.
true.
Oh
Usually,
gosh, it's good to
usually
have
they
it
turn
break my
against you.
way. They do. What is the deal? I am glad most people were on my side. And I
Yes,
don't know if you listened to what's it called? Bootstrap Web? What's the one with Jordan
I
and
did.
Brian? Yeah. You got a
Yeah.
special shout out on Bootstrap Web.
It was
You got called
dedicated to
out for
me.
being wrong.
Most guys don't know what they're talking about. That's all.
Yeah, that's what it is.
That's
Sure.
all. I'll be proven right. Just give it time. 2028 is not far away. We're not going to be on Mars.
We're gonna have like leaps and bounds forward and technological advancements, but we haven't gone to Mars, and you're gonna be like, see, I told you so.
Elon promised me Mars in 2028. That's what he says.
Did you see like moments we got after the call that they launched a new probe to Europa?
I'm excited
like, this
about
is
that.
what I'm talking about.
Oh, that's good stuff. Probes everywhere. I'm all about the probes. Send probe. Why do we not have? I was thinking about this. Why is there no probes to like places beyond the human lifespan, right? Like forget our solar system. Like why haven't we sent probes to like the nearest nebula or the nearest star of any type, right? Just go send a probe to the nearest star. Why are we not on that? Like it's going to take a long time. Fine. It's going to be 200 years or whatever since we can't travel at light speed. Great. Why aren't we doing that? Like that's the kind of stuff we should be spending money on. That would be awesome. Wouldn't you want to see a picture of another star? How cool would that be?
That would be pretty cool.
It would be cool.
That would be pretty cool.
It might cost like $2 billion or something. Like pocket
Chump change.
Yeah.
What is the James Webb Telescope? Isn't that kind of that? Isn't it like headed out there and it's going to take pictures of stuff?
It's not that. So it's headed out to the Lagrange point. I mean, it's there. So it's at this point where it doesn't move.
I thought it was just like go. Like
no.
Didn't Hubble just keep going?
No. Hubble's not very far away at all. Like remember they sent the space shuttle to fix it like 15 years ago.
Hubble?
Yeah. They
no way.
Yes, when they launched it, it had a bad mirror. It was broken when they launched it. And then they kind of dealt with it. It had bad eyesight. And then you can look it up. And then they had to send a space shuttle to fix it. And I think they put another lens in front of the bad lens, or they replaced the lens, whatever. So it could actually see. And then, yeah, so it's like within space shuttle range. So the James Webb Telescope is way farther out.
What in the world? You're right. It's only 320 miles above Earth's surface. I thought the Hubble was like on its way to another, to another
These
universe.
are just telescopes. So the James Webb is farther out and it's in such a spot that like there's less interference from whatever things, and it doesn't orbit. It just like stays locked because it's in this special spot.
Voyager,
whatever.
That's the one that's just
Voyager
kept it
is going, yes.
right?
Yeah, Voyager 1 and 2 are the farthest
interstellar
man-made objects, I believe.
There you go.
But they weren't designed for that. Like they weren't built with that function, so they're mostly non-functional. Like they keep shutting things off to make it barely work. And it's like because they were really just designed to see Jupiter and Saturn or whatever. Like that was their main thing. They weren't even designed to be interstellar. It's just that like they just kept going and they're out there, but they don't have the equipment to survive for hundreds of years. And they're also headed towards nothing. So like they're not going
that we know of.
Right.
There's some paradox where it's like if spaceships get faster, we have the ability to make faster and faster spaceships every year, then launching a spaceship now makes no sense, or like a probe now makes no sense because in 10 years we'll launch one that can overtake it. And so we're in this like never launch anything because we'll always make one that's faster to overtake it. So what's the point?
There's something to that.
Yeah, maybe. I don't know if that's real or just something I read in science fiction, but it's at least interesting.
I just want to note that for the people out there who sided with Aaron on last week's podcast, this is an argument between someone who knows where the Hubble telescope is and someone who doesn't know where the Hubble telescope is. So I'm just gonna say,
which one was I? I was the one.
You were the one who didn't know.
Dang, shoot. Okay, that's a good point.
But anyway, we should a Hubble telescope, but in a different solar system. How cool would that be? So you get really up close photos of a sun. The
I'd
James
vote
Webb
for
is
that.
awesome. It's very cool and it's taking very cool pictures, but everything is still tiny. It's like, look at this tiny dot. This tiny dot is a galaxy. That's really cool, but it's still just a tiny dot on the screen. And it's cool. There's lots of tiny dots. And it's very, if you sit in it and think deeply about it, it's very impressive.
Can you imagine a galaxy is just a tiny dot?
I know.
It's so big out there.
It is big. Things are far away.
Man.
Very
Things
far
are
away.
so far away. That's the most depressing part, is that we're never going to see it, ever.
That light's been traveling for 11 billion years in that tiny dot. So, like, you know, stuff's far away in space. That's what I'm trying to tell you people.
Far away.
Even the stuff that's close is far away.
Don't you people me. Don't you people
You people.
me. Don't you dare.
But can we send a Hubble telescope to somewhere else with other planets and other suns and whatever and see a real up close picture that's like, whoa, it fills the whole screen. It's amazing. It's a giant picture of the sun. How cool would that be? If it's red.
That would
whatever.
be cool. It's a good thing we have those SpaceX rockets that are so cheap to launch and land.
That's the problem.
That's a good thing.
If we just had a self-landing rocket, we'd be sending probes everywhere. We haven't been because we don't have the self-landing rocket. But now we do.
Now that we do, it's very, very exciting. And what a glorious future ahead of us.
And then, so yes, they sent the probe to Europa, which is very cool, which is one of the most promising spots for,
because it's like a water
and stuff. Yes, there's in theory like an ocean below the ice there and stuff like that. But we're not supposed to go to Europa, and you didn't even know about this either.
No, I didn't know this reference.
But it's all in there. 2010 Space Odyssey. They're like, you can, the whole
is this a sequel to 2001 Space Odyssey?
Mm-hmm. I actually thought this quote was in 2001, but it's actually in 2010.
I thought I was doing a sick burn, but it really is a sequel. Dang it! I thought I was making fun of you.
No, shoot, you're right. Just on point. Yeah.
Oh,
look at me, I'm all right. Boom, fired.
You are. This is not my day.
Anyway, it's right in there in the movie. You can't go. The aliens tell us you can't go to Europa. Go anywhere else you want, not Europa. So I'm a little nervous that we're gonna get there. We're breaking the rules. Who knows what's gonna happen?
Wow, John Lithgow, Helen Mirren. Maybe I got to see this.
It's good. It's not as good as 2001, but
maybe I got to see that.
Aaron, you're killing me.
I know.
You're just killing me.
I know.
You gotta make the time. You gotta see these movies. 2001, is epic. I mean, it's all time classic. It's it's for your generation. It might be a little slow. You might not be able to handle the pacing of it. It's kind of like, it takes its time.
The
Part
scenes
of it is like,
last longer than like 7 or 8 seconds.
They do last longer. There's scenes where it's just like complete silence and a spaceship just moving, and you just see the spaceship going, and it's like 45 seconds of that. It's just that's it.
Well, I'll be sure to have Twitter up on my phone just in case. Just in case I happen into that scene, I won't be able to handle that.
So it's got the AI. It's got AI. It's got space. It's got all the stuff.
Dude, it's right up my alley. Sounds like I got to see it. I don't want to
spoil it, but the AI.
Don't spoil.
It's very relevant. It's very relevant to
this came out in 1968. The statute of limitations has not run.
So
100-year no spoilers rule.
Oh, jeez. All right. What's going on? We covered space.
All right.
You got a lot of stuff going on. This
got
is
a lot
of
stuff going on.
Aaron episode this week. What do you got?
We love an episode.
Yes.
Well, first of all, house update. We had to have the floors redone. So the contractor did the floors. Oh my God, what a nightmare. And then we moved in, and it was like there were cracks and gaps and
like the floor is the last thing you want redone. Like you got to repaint everything. Fine, like go repaint everything, whatever. You got to replace the fridge. Yeah, it's annoying. Replace the fridge, whatever. You got to rip down a wall, whatever. But don't redo the floors.
Don't redo the floors.
That's a nightmare. Oh my.
So we moved in, and it was they did the floors. Then we moved in. It was crappy. Then they redid the parts that were crappy. They were still terrible. Like still like dips that then began to crack. I'm like, guys, look at this and tell me that this is good. And he's like, oh, you're right. This isn't good.
Bouncing on this floor. Here. It's
like... dude, it's terrible. Felt like I was walking on the deck of a ship.
Moon.
Yes. And so then he was like, yeah, that is terrible. We're going to fire my floor guy and get a new floor guy, and he'll redo them. Like, great. Now we're talking. Yes, this is good. And so Wednesday they started like sanding and ripping out boards and putting them back. And then of course they have to stain it, and you got to stay off of it. And so Thursday, Friday, Saturday, we had to go stay at our in-laws' house. the whole crew, everybody. It looked like we were packing for a move west across the plains. It was unbelievable. We were going somewhere for 3 days, 2
Mm,
nights, and we had an unbelievable amount of stuff. So stayed at the in-laws for a couple days, which was nice. I'm glad we had that ability. But then
that is
you
nice.
come home and it's still stinky. The floors look great.
Okay,
They're
that's
smooth.
good.
Yeah, they look
That's
great. They
good.
match the color just right. But then the whole house smells like,
Okay,
varnish or lacquer, stain,
right.
whatever, all of it. And so we got windows open and bathroom fans on, and it's just like, and then the kids got sick, and so they can't go to school. It's like, dude, brutal, brutal, brutal. Every Monday, every mostly technical, it's like,
Oh.
man, weekends are tough.
Yeah.
Weekends are tough. And boy, weekends are tough. Just really exhausting.
I saw you talking to some guy on Twitter who it's a guy in the loop somehow. I don't really know who he is
Yeah,
totally, but like he was like, I don't understand why people don't have any
I
time because
know.
they have some
I
kids. And I'm
know.
like, dude, like because the kids absorb every ounce of free time that there is, either directly or
Yes.
indirectly. Like you have a bigger house now, you got a bigger house because you got more kids. That absorbs more time. Like the whole thing, it's all more time all the way down.
Yeah, I don't really have a ton of patience for these takes that are like, why are kids taking up all your time? I'm like,
uh,
guys, maybe you're talking about 9, 10, 11, 12-year-olds, and like, sure,
right.
they should go ride bicycles around your 1950s neighborhood. That's great. I love that. My kids will do that as well. But when your kids you have 2 3.5-year-olds and 2 10-month-olds, what are you supposed
Yeah,
to do? There
there's no
is no
time.
time. So how do you get work done on the weekends? You don't. You just watch kids all weekend. And then I think on both Saturday and Sunday, when they took a nap, I took a nap. It's like,
Right.
I don't know
Right.
what you expect of me, guys.
And we talked
So
about this on here before, but honestly, it actually gets worse, not better. Because it's
yeah,
just like the
thanks.
stuff you have to do with them is worse, and you don't get the nighttime break. It's like, all right, everybody goes
Mm-hmm.
to bed at 7, and
That
now
is
at
the
least
best.
I've got 3-4 hours of like I could spend it with the wife. I could do some work. I know I got this
Yep.
before people start waking up and needing shit again. I got a
Yes.
block of time like at normal human hours, and like it gets harder, man. Like we just spent all weekend running around. And my daughter has a horse show. She was at the barn the other day, and my son wanted to go to the gym, and then he wanted to do this other thing, and like so now you're just an Uber driver, which is
Right.
much less fun than at least like I'm holding this baby, I'm rocking it to sleep, and it's like terrible, but also awesome because it's like a baby and you're rocking it and it's cool. Like, no, it's just like, okay, I'll drop you. Oh, when do I pick you up? Okay. It's just like, all right, just message me when you're ready. And like, you just got to be there on call to pick them up. And like, yeah, it's
Yeah.
the time doesn't get better. And your patience
Yeah.
gets less and your energy gets less. So it's all, yeah.
That's awesome. That sounds great. I
That's
look for. I
good.
look. Yeah, it's terrific.
But
I
the
look
bigger
forward to
issue is
that.
like you touched on. Everybody thinks it's 1950. Like I don't know. Like you're not supposed to let your kids run around when they're 5. Like yeah, my dad's always like when I was 5, I left the house. I didn't come home till 8 p.m. Like that's what I
Right.
did from age of 5 on in New York City. Like I just went out the door and I didn't come home. They can't do that now. Nobody even wants to do that now. Even if they wanted to, you're not like supposed to. Like the whole thing is a mess. It's all terrible.
The neighborhood kids, I live in the big city. The neighborhood kids in
Right.
our cul-de-sac,
Mm-hmm.
they're outside playing made up games all the
Good.
time. Always in the
Nice.
cul-de-sac doing stuff.
Cool.
But our kids are
Yeah.
3.
Right.
I can't
They're
let them
not
just
there yet.
go outside and just be like, all right, we'll see you later. So, sometimes I'll go outside and sit with our kids as they watch the big kids play, and they
Watch
think
them.
it's the
Yeah,
funnest
that's
thing
cute.
ever. They're like, oh, I hi, oh, that's my friend. I waved to my friend. And I'm like, yeah, they're so nice. But they're, those kids are like 7 to 12 years old. Like,
Yeah.
great,
Right.
go
Too
outside. I
big.
never see a parent out there. It's always kids running back and
That's
forth
good.
into each other's houses and garages. I'm like, this is awesome.
Okay,
So
big
we'll get
question for
there.
you here though. How big is your like cul-de-sac region? Like how many houses? Like a lot of
Um,
houses?
no, not a lot of houses. It's 1,
Okay.
2, 3, 4, 5. 5.
All right. So I'm gonna this is Ian poops on Aaron's parade morning as well.
Yeah,
Because
seriously.
this is what we
Goodness.
had like there's like 9 houses in our cul-de-sac, and we don't really even have like other ones directly nearby. So it's like kind of this is it. And when we bought the lot and we built the house, it was like kids everywhere and everything was awesome. We're like, this is gonna be so cute and amazing. All those kids were a little bit bigger than our kids. And then as it all worked out, like our kids basically don't have anybody to play with now. Like there's like one house with some kids, but
Yeah.
They don't all really get along. It's like whatever. It's like different schedules and stuff too. And then that's it. And there's nobody plays at all. And the whole thing, we were all excited about everybody's gonna play. No playing. So
why do I do this show, Ian? I've come on here just when I some ideas, a little tete-a-tete, you know, have a little banter, and you're telling me everything gets worse. That's all.
Maybe it's gonna be fine. I hope it's fine for you. I hope that the kids stay and that those people move out and the people who move in have nice kids exactly your age.
Here's what I hope. I hope that one of our neighbors moves out, and by that time we're super rich and we buy their house.
Yeah.
Knock it down.
We talked about underground lair, mega house.
Yeah, that's what I hope. That's the goal. I was actually thinking I went on a walk last night because it was a very stressful day. I went on a walk and I thought, man, these houses, because like one side of the street is kind of up on a hill and the other side is low, and I thought these houses on the hill, you could easily, I don't know anything about construction, you could easily dig out like a 12 or 15 foot basement. And you could have your fantasy factory underneath the house.
That's
a great idea. I don't know.
It's probably in Texas.
Probably no. It's incredibly hard to dig here. But what in my imagination, it's
hard
easy
to dig. I don't know about that.
Yeah, it's
big
hard
machines
to dig. We have
with shovels.
No, yeah, we have the machines, but the soil is like, I think we're a lot of limestone. Maybe I don't know. Is limestone soft or hard? We know a lot of things on this podcast.
I think it's soft. I think they just don't dig because there's no they don't need a foundation. Like they don't need below frost foundation. I think is usually the reason in the South that they just it's a financial. Why dig and pay all the money and build a bigger, taller thing when they can cheap out?
We do have a friend that is building a house across the street from us, and they dug out because they're kind of on a slope, and so they dug out the back part to be the garage and you know, put cinder blocks all in and like built out basically a basement garage.
Proper basement.
Yeah, and I think it was pretty expensive to dig. I don't know exactly, but
we spent like it was almost I think it was like $70,000 in excavation or something like that. It was crazy.
Whoa.
Our house is not like humongous or anything. Like, but we hit rock. We hit like rock.
Yeah.
So they, then they screwed us on that. They're like, we'll bring this big jackhammer in that attaches to the excavator and we'll jack it out. I think that'll work. And so that's what they did for weeks and weeks and weeks at $200 an hour. And it's like, they could have just paid the dynamite guys to blow it up, or like, they're like, but you know, the excavator doesn't do the dynamite. That's a different guy. So the excavator kind of skews us for being like, oh, it'll be a week, but then it's 2 weeks, but then you're already in. So am I going to get the dynamite guys now when I've already paid this guy? You know, so it's like
when you have the option to get a dynamite guy, you always get a dynamite guy. What are you thinking? I don't care how long it's going to take. We have a chance to do dynamite. Let's do dynamite.
That's what I thought. We should blow it up. And now, even now, we kind of wish we blew it up because whatever. But yes. So yeah, excavation is quite expensive, which always makes me feel like I want to be an excavator. Like that's what I should be doing. Like just I got good credit, get a big old excavator for 250 grand or whatever it costs. Be out there, charge your $300 an hour.
Simple life,
excavator. Dig the hole here, dig the hole there. Beautiful. I love it.
Boy, that seems great. You don't have to argue with people on Twitter. You don't have to worry about CSS. You just go out and you dig a hole. That sounds awesome.
Yes.
No marketing.
Every once in a while, you get a government contract.
Excavator@gmail.com and you'd be booked solid. That's all these guys do.
Yes.
It's unbelievable.
It is. They don't market. They don't do anything. They go, paint our logo badly on the side of our truck.
Yep.
There we go. That's
and
what we
never answer the phone because we're too busy.
We'll get Hey Rosie here there, and
we'll get Hey Rosie.
Answer the phone for me, and that'll be fine. Yeah,
it's unbelievable.
All right, so you're on the walk.
I'm on a walk.
So maybe you should do that. You just got this house. You sell this house. You buy a lot and build the home studio house thing.
No, that is the goal. Yeah. Don't tell Jennifer, but that is the goal. After this remodel, Jennifer's interest in building a house has gone from 0% to negative infinity percent. So we got to slow play that. If you're listening, darling, don't worry. This is just a bit for content. Come on, we're just being silly. Hey,
actually gonna do this.
But yeah, that's the goal, is to like, everything this is interesting. Everything hinges on step one being get super rich. So maybe we should investigate that first.
That's
But
phase one.
yeah, that's phase one for sure. And then, yeah, hopefully buy a house within, 10 houses of where we live. Because our friends, our best friends are building a house across the street.
Yeah, that's crazy.
We
How
can't
did
go
that
anywhere.
happen? I assume it's obviously not random. That's pretty cool.
No, it's not random. They found the lot. We were both looking in this neighborhood. They found a lot and decided to start building. And then the house we currently bought, or the house we currently have, came up for sale. And they texted us and were like, hey, go look at this one. And we did. And we bought it. So,
maybe you should give us a Francis real estate empire update. Like at one point you had like a house you were renting and another house you owned and this house and like where are we at now? What's left of the empire?
Oh, praise be. We're down to 2 properties and only one on the Aaron Francis payroll. So the house, we own and pay for. The rent house we no longer have because we moved into the remodeled house. And then the apartment studio where I'm currently sitting is on the Try Hard books. So this lease is up. This apartment lease is up in February, at which point we may transition to a factory, which we can talk about. But our house is the only property that we are actively paying for, which is good.
And didn't you sell? You had a house you owned before, or no?
So we had a house we owned, which is where the shed quarters was.
Right. And
that was the house we owned. We found out we were having twins again. We sold it immediately, moved into a rental.
Oh, it's already sold. Okay, before the rental.
Yeah, we sold.
I thought you were
we got out.
Okay.
No. And then we had the rental and the remodel overlapping for a while, but now that's over.
All right. Yeah. But so then this is the nice transition to the Try Hard factory. So you're not done with real estate. You love real estate.
Love it. Gotta have it.
It's amazing.
Gotta have it.
They're not making any more of it.
They're not.
.com. It's like once you have it, it's yours. So what are you looking at here? You're buying, you're renting.
So
you looked at some stuff. What's going on?
So I was looking to rent, and then Steve and I talked, and we're like, should we just buy a commercial property?
See, I knew it. See, you haven't even told me this. All I've seen is some pictures that places you looked at to rent, and I was like, that's just not big enough for him. He's gonna go big with this because he's a big idea guy. And I had that feeling. I was like, he's got to at least thought about buying something. And there you go.
There you go. We absolutely thought about it. We thought about, getting an SBA loan and buying a piece of commercial property. Looked around, and I don't think now is the time. So when it came time to look at stuff to buy, this is all within the past week, of course. When it came time to look at stuff to buy, I started looking around, and the flex space / industrial, all of that there's nothing that's like cool enough. It's all kind of lame. And so what I wanted was, a warehouse with giant windows that used to be some sort of, wool factory or something, or cotton. I'm not partial. And then not picky. And then potentially like a fire station or a church or a auto body shop with giant roll up doors that have huge windows in them. That kind of thing. Something that's like industrial, but can be like, new wave, modern, that kind of stuff. And I looked around, and there wasn't anything anywhere near us. And I went and I toured a few properties that needed a lot of like, even for rental, that needed to be like built out. And so I went to one, and it was, 2,000 square feet, and all it had was studs and insulation. And he's like, yeah, the landlord will work with you on tenant improvements and rent duration and free months. And I was like, okay, well, boy, that seems like a lot of work. And then I looked around and saw this was a two unit building, and the unit I was in was unfinished. And there was no AC, there was no ductwork, there was no vent, there was nothing.
You're constructing.
There was no bathroom, there was no plumbing, there was nothing. He's like, yeah, if you want to move the bathroom, you could probably trench through the concrete. And I was like, no, I'm just a computer guy. I'm not signing up right now to do a 6-month commercial real estate project. And so that's when I was like, maybe this is not the time. So what we did was I did tour a bunch of other like industrial flex spaces, and I think I found the one. So it was, I think, maybe the first one that I sent you. It is it has an office in the front, and then it has an attached like warehouse, like garage. It's
Yep.
all heated and cooled, including the warehouse, which is pretty important.
Yeah.
It's only, I think, 1,000 square feet, which is not huge.
That's good for
And
you though. It feels like enough.
yeah, that's kind of what Steve and I decided was like, I think this is probably good for now. And if this works, then in 2 years we can discuss like, should we buy a property? Should we buy a lot and build a warehouse? That sort of thing.
Yeah.
But yeah, it's very aesthetic, like concrete walls,
Did look
concrete
nice.
floors, polished, very nice. Windows
Yeah.
in the back of the warehouse, in this particular unit, and so that would be a good thing as well. Very aesthetic for filming. And so we're waiting on a lease. I think we're gonna do it. Yeah, so we're gonna get the lease. We'll look over the details and stuff, but hopefully by January 1st, we're moving into the Try Hard factory.
Wow. So, is there anything to build at all, or it's just your thing?
No, I take it as is.
Set stuff, but like,
yeah,
in the structure itself, it's pretty good.
I'll take it as is, in the structure itself, which is nice, super nice.
Yeah.
It's interesting because it's in a little flex industrial park, and so like the whole thing is gated. It feels like driving into like a storage unit area.
Right.
Like it's gated, and then you drive around and you see a bunch of roll up doors. But also man doors, because the front, has an office in the
doors.
front. That's right. Yeah. No women doors here. I think I got onto Jason Beggs once because he called it a man door and I called him a sexist. But I think that's what they're called, a human door. We'll call it a human door. And all of the other tenants are basically like, there's some interior designers, there's some home builders, there are some he said there's like a wine club that just stores all their excess wine in the warehouse part. There's some e-commerce shippers, which would be interesting to talk to. But it's that kind of tenant where it's like, hey, we have a satellite office that nobody ever really goes to, but if we need to store some tile samples that came in, or we need to store a couch that was delivered and the client's not ready for it, we'll put it there, that sort of thing. So pretty cool. Pretty cool clientele.
Kind of new too. Like, I don't know if it's very new, but it didn't look like, oh, there's been 20 years of truck grease on this floor type of thing.
That was the other thing with the other warehouses. It was like built in 1968, and you look inside and you're like, it hasn't been touched since then. This one was built in 2016. And so it's very, very new, and it's fundamentally different than a warehouse. It's like, you need an office and you need some storage. This is where you go.
Yeah. Yeah. Wow. So how far from your house?
10 minutes.
Okay. So not too much more than the
seven
apartment.
More than the current. Yeah.
Right.
And that was the other thing, is I looked at some spots in Deep Ellum, which is where Laracon was, and incredibly cool, hip, very awesome down there, but it's 30 minutes away.
Yeah. You don't want to have a 30-minute commute. That's not.
No. What am I doing if I'm having a 30-minute commute? Yeah. Especially like, last week I had to, pop home to talk to the contractor. You don't do a pop home if you're 30 minutes away. You do a go home, and that's it. And there goes the day. I can't do a go home just in the middle of the day. So yeah, unfortunately, I think all the cool hip spots in Deep Ellum are out because they're just so far away.
Do you have a home office?
No.
Okay. Do you have room for a home office?
Not until the au pair leaves.
Okay.
And provided we don't get another au pair.
So you really need a place to go.
I need a place to go, yeah.
You could put it in your master bedroom, maybe. Like, obviously it wouldn't be optimal for like streaming or whatever, but
no, I don't want to do that. Yeah. But once the au pair leaves, we will have a very small room, too small to be a guest room. It's where the babies are right now. And they'll go upstairs into her room, and then we'll have that little bitty room in the front that could be just like a coffee.
It'd be nice to have a place at home.
I think so. So we'll put maybe a day bed and a chair in there, and that could become like a place I can work if I have to.
Yeah. Yeah, it's nice to have that flexibility if you want to be home once in a while. I actually just restored my home office from which had become like basically the Minecraft Warzone office because the Windows gaming computer was in there. But like, we got this pool table for the basement, which has been a big hit. And then we were like, well, let's just like move all the kids' stuff into the basement. So, because we have a big, like the basement's all finished. It's like our house, like the basement's like part designed to be part of the house. It's not like a basement door. It's like just an open staircase and like it's like another level. So all the kids are down there now and all their stuff. And then I took my office back. So now I got the office again, which is kind of nice to have a place at home that's just my stuff in it.
Yeah, that would be nice.
All right, so factory's coming along.
Factory's
when
coming
are you trying
along.
to move
in? So the lease here is up February 9th, and so we'll try to get the lease at the factory for January 1st, so we can have a month of overlap. Because I got a lot of stuff I got to move.
Stuff to unbuild that you just
stuff to unbuild. Yeah. The good news is, I asked for 2. So I think the default was 3, and I said, listen, I'm not gonna try to hammer you on the rent, but I do need a shorter term.
Yeah.
And so hopefully that'll work out, because dream big. I think in 2 years we'll need a bigger space. That'd be awesome. So
either way, you don't want to be locked in for 3 or 5 years or anything. Yeah.
No. And the good news about this backdrop is I can disassemble it without destroying it. It was built in such a way that I knew this is not its final resting place. So I'll disassemble it, move it over, and then there will be a lot more to build. We're gonna build out a lot of stuff. We also big moves. We also potentially found a videographer here in Dallas.
Oh.
Yeah, so had a call with him on Friday, and basically, I think he's 21 or 22-year-old kid who's trying to do his own thing, which is just like exactly what we want. We want somebody that's like talented and flexible and doesn't need full-time work. And had a call with him on Friday, and the vibe seemed right. And Steve, asked him some technical questions about video, and he seemed to totally get it. And so I think we're going to start. With him coming up here and doing a studio tour of this studio. And so that'll be our first test with like, how do we get along? Because if he's going to be around 1 or 2 days a week, he and I need to get along pretty well. And then what's his output like? Is the quality good? So we're gonna run a little test and make a few videos with him in this space before we give it up.
I feel like you need to back up here. Why do we need a videographer twice?
What are we videoing? Gotta have it. Videoing everything, man. Okay, so this is a continuation of what do I want to do with my life, right?
Right. I figured.
And so I think the answer last week was like, we're a content company, right? We make content. And in that content, we either sometimes place our own ads, house ads for our own back end, or replace other people's ads and we get paid for it. So that was extremely helpful, very clarifying discussion. And then Ben Orenstein, friend of the show, friend of the pod, friend of ours, Ben Orenstein sent me an episode of a podcast where a guy named, I got to flip back to Trello here, a guy named Dan Shipper, I wrote it down in our cards, a guy named Dan Shipper was on this podcast. And it was, again, very clarifying, because he talked a lot about his company. I don't even know what his company is. I think it's like Every or something like that. I have no idea. But he talked about how his company is different than the companies that he would like observe on the internet. And he thought he was doing something wrong, when in reality, his company was a media company and he was observing like software companies. And so one thing he was saying was like, I'd go on Hacker News and everybody would be talking about doing stuff like this. And I'm like, oh no, that's not how we do anything at all. And are we doing everything wrong? And then he went to a retreat with other media companies and they were like, yeah, no, this is exactly how we do everything. And it was very clarifying to me, because one thing that he talked about was like, the product market fit for a media company is the voice of the main person producing the media. And so in that case, that would be me. Like, I think have found product market fit with our content. And so we need to increase that. And then the other thing was, he talked about like, with a media company, you have to have many sources of income at different levels of like, the funnel, or like audience participation, basically. So you have, you have the biggest portion of people that are just like passive consumers, and then down from there you have some low entry price, and then like his thing goes all the way up, I think, to like very high ticket consulting, coaching, that sort of thing.
Mm-hmm.
And so us figuring out what our funnel kind of looks like and what our product offering looks like is going to be pretty important. But I do think that put my mind at ease a lot in terms of the whole, like, you got to focus on one thing. No, you got to have many small bets discussion.
Right.
Like
Yep.
ours is fundamentally different than, launching a bunch of SaaSes and,
Yep.
seeing which one works. And so the videographer, back to the point,
Mm.
the videographer is to help us broaden the scope of our content just a little bit beyond me sitting behind the screen. And so I think we've mastered me teaching, doing screencasts, that sort of thing. And the area in which we want to broaden is more of like the creator, maker, business owner, that sort of stuff. So a little bit outside of like, hey, I'm just going to sit down and talk to the camera, and more shots where somebody actually has to be operating the camera.
Right.
And so that's what the videographer would be, because Steve can't come down here and do it, and I can't do it all. So having somebody else shoot the footage is going to be really helpful.
I like it. Yeah. That'd be cool.
There you go.
Whew. All right. So we're going to get different kinds of video of Aaron
Different
Francis.
kinds of video. Yeah. We're doing it.
Obviously, as you're building stuff, that'll be really cool to have somebody, not just a stationary camera, but somebody who can move it and look around things. And then I assume you're going to have them maybe do rough edits, or at least cut down the quantity for Steve to then look at, the good stuff only, and that kind of thing.
Yep. So when we go to the factory, this kid will be a part of it, and we'll try to film basically everything that we're doing over there. And do like factory build out videos and all the stuff that people like desk setup and like tours and all that crazy stuff.
All the smooth brain stuff, like yes,
exactly.
let me see your desk.
It's all the stuff that I watch on YouTube on a Sunday before I fall asleep. It's like, hey, I want to watch these guys build something. I'm never gonna build a house, but I want to watch these guys build a house. That's all I want to do.
Have you been recording already, like your first visits, or you didn't do any of that?
Haven't done any of that.
Okay.
If we do get this particular spot, I will go over and shoot some footage of it empty and like me walking in. I may even bring the kid. Why not? I mean,
why not? This would be a good first, trial run.
Yeah. So, big week, huh?
Man, that's only the first Trello item.
I know. Got a factory, found a kid, launched Postgres. It's all happening.
Launch Postgres. Oh yeah, we should talk about that. That's not on the Trello list. What's going on? It went out. You released your child out into the world.
It went out. I don't know if we're sharing numbers. That's something I will have to ask Steve. But I will say it hit our. I think we had a 1 week goal of revenue that we wanted to hit, and we hit that in the first like 48 hours. So
all right,
that was good.
Very good. Yes,
that was good. And of course, it's fallen off a cliff now, but that's fine.
That's normal.
So things are looking great. We've gotten several team sales and several team inquiries, including a 40-person sale.
Ooh,
wow. And so that is terribly exciting, because that's that's inklings of a real business there.
Yep.
And something that I think, again, it was in this podcast with Dan Shipper. And just a note for the dear listener, if you listen to this podcast with Dan Shipper, it's very good, but the host talks way too much. It's unbelievable. So many bad podcast hosts, Ian.
I know, they're out there, man. Okay, can we take a little side adventure? Just quickly, a little side adventure, because I've been wanting to talk about this, and you just hit on the perfect point. I have this kind of evil idea. It's a little bit evil. It's a little bit uncouth, I would say. Okay. And as somebody this would affect, I understand this could be emotional, and people might get mad about this kind of thing. But I think there is 100% a market, okay, for a podcast player that uses a little AI or whatever magic you want to use, and lets you only listen to one host or one person on the stream. Just
Brutal.
get rid of the other people. I don't want to hear the other people.
Brutal.
I only care about this person's takes on things, and just give me that. Cut the whole thing down. Now it's not 60 minutes. It's 15 minutes of just this person or just this guest or whatever it is. And I think there's kind of a market for that, because some podcasts work better than others for this. Like some, it's like there's too much intermingled and it would be confusing. But there's a lot of them where it's like this person does their take and that person does their take, and it's not like a conversation back and forth so much. And it's just like, I don't want to hear these other people. Like, I just want to hear the person I care about here.
Brutal. I love it.
It's brutal. It's a little brutal.
Have the AI summarize what the other person says.
They could they could interject it just for context.
Exactly.
Yeah. Ooh, I hadn't thought of that. That's nice. Yes. If there's like an actual question or something there. Yeah.
So bad that people are replacing you with AI.
But see, no, I don't think that's the right take. That's the evil take. That's the bad guy take.
That's what you said.
It's more that it's not that they're bad. Like, other people might keep that person and eliminate the other person, right? Like, it's just a matter of, it's more of a taste thing. And I don't necessarily have a taste for person X on this show, and I just want to hear from person Y. And for you, it might be opposite, and that's fine. But I feel like we have the technology now to do that. If we could land a rocket on its own, I feel like we could give me just one. We can eliminate
David Sachs from the podcast.
Right.
Yeah,
exactly. Nobody wants to hear from David Sachs.
I know what
I don't want to hear that. Filter that dude out. Exactly. That's like a perfect example. I like Jason Calacanis a lot, but like the other guys, I don't need to hear from any of them, honestly. Like, just give me Jason and that's it. Like, make the 2-hour thing 30 minutes of just his takes on stuff. Great. Let's move on.
A Just Jason podcast. You might be the only one. You might be the only one that wants to listen to that. You might be.
See, I've been investing in Jason's syndicate for like 10 years, so I'm biased.
Okay, yes, you're biased.
But
Friedberg's great. He does all the science. I love Friedberg.
I've honestly never listened to the All In podcast.
It's great. It's a train wreck every week. I love it.
Yeah, that's the thing.
I can't listen to this guy, the host, talks too much. Okay, so we can filter him out with this new brutal tool from Ian. Yeah, it's brutal tool. Brutal. Justin Jackson, you need to get on that.
Yes,
you need to do that.
Give me the mute button. We can call it mute button or something. It's just like, I don't want it just muted.
That makes
I want it filtered.
That makes it very clear that we're the bad guys. Mute button. Okay, so this guy talks too much. Oh, what Dan Shipper was saying is, at the beginning, you kind of have to scratch and claw and do these, like, basically these launches to get the thing going, which is where we're at right now.
Right.
But then you have to figure out how to make it sustainable, and but the launches give you like the runway to do that. And so that's exactly where we are right now. We've done these launches that are very hype dependent, which has been fine. It's worked. And now we have money in the bank, and we have a good amount of runway to slow down a little bit, and hopefully in the future rely less on hype to launch these things. And so one thing that Steve has already started doing is, like, do you remember when we talked to Jeffrey Way and he was like, yeah, I've got all these people at Disney that signed up, and you're like, you got to email the people at Disney, man. We've started doing that. So we've started combing through the customer list, looking for good domains, and Steve is just manually reaching out and being like, hey, do you want to expand? Do you want to get a team account here? What's going on? And so we're like, if you can believe it, we're like approaching proper sales strategies here.
I love it.
I know.
Yes.
And we've got a list of prospects too that we're just going to like email and see what happens. And so there's going to be more and more sales content potentially coming from the old Try Hard studios as we figure out how do we make this a sustainable thing.
What's the Postgres course? 249? Something like that?
I think right now it's 249.
249?
Yeah.
So, I mean, if you could get when you sell to a 20 user team account, it's $5,000 and maybe you kick a little off, whatever, blah, blah, blah. But like, that's like adds up really fast. And there's tons of big, medium sized companies out there.
Tons.
Like, that you've sold any is promising.
Yes, we've sold some without speaking to anyone.
Right. So if you can get in front of people, because those are also the kind of companies where people aren't necessarily out here following Aaron Francis and stuff. You're just inside the Borg, but you use Postgres every day. And if you can get a hold of the right person, and they could be like, oh yeah, remember that time we were down for 4 hours because nobody knew about this setting or whatever, and like, hey, let's just spend $4,000 on this and everybody watch it and get trained up. Like, that's a no-brainer for many companies if you can get to the right person who can make that decision, which is of course the hard part. But yeah, I like that.
So that'll be an interesting ongoing storyline, is how are sales going, like outbound sales.
I like that.
Yeah, so far everything we've gotten is inbound, including the one that was like 40 seats, which is great.
It's a 40 seat a sale or just an inquiry?
The 40 seat is an inquiry that they have passed us on to. What is it? Requisition? What's the department? Maybe procurement. That's the one.
Yeah.
They passed us on to procurement. So
then that's a done deal. It's just
that's something. Yeah. So if we could get, 2 or 3, I don't think we'll get many 40 seat ones, but 2 or 3, $3,000, $4,000, $5,000 deals a month. We're in business, baby.
Let me tell you, man, everybody underestimates this. There are so many big-ish companies out there, you can't even imagine how many there are. So like, you could easily do one a month. Like, I like, that's not even, it's not hard in the terms of there are sufficient quantities of companies that could buy that you could absolutely do it. Whether you can get in there and get the sales process down to make that happen, obviously is something you have to figure out. But like, it's a lot of companies in the world with a lot of money, and the thing you're selling is nothing. It's $0.
I know.
Every other cost they have. So definitely possible. And Postgres is kind of interesting too, because it's not, and SQLite too. I feel like you should be kind of even bundling them or talking about both of them when you do this, because like, they have different use. You can imagine like a company uses Postgres on its back end, but SQLite in its apps and whatever, all that kind of stuff. And there's just not as much good documentation and training material on those as there is MySQL, and certainly Oracle and Microsoft SQL Server and all those big gut dogs that have tons of the stuff and official stuff and all that. So yeah, I think there's probably a demand out there that's untapped.
I once again am incredibly grateful that I don't think this was as strategic as I want it to be, that I ended up in the database education space. Like, I want to claim that it was like, well, I observed a gap in the market. I just historically have loved it, and I think there's some part of me that did observe a gap in the market, but it was I was already here. It wasn't pure mercenary. But yeah, imagine imagine trying to sell React training. It's everywhere. Everyone has a React course. Yes. And so this it does feel a lot easier that like, hey, you want a Postgres training course? Where else are you gonna go? So hopefully that winds up being true.
Yeah. All right. Well, I guess we'll keep us informed of that, but that's very intriguing. So this is all part of the multi-layer strategy. But if you could get a handful of those corporate sales a month, I mean, that right there is a huge amount of money. That's just baseline, and obviously is more than enough to like pay for a person to do outbound sales at some point, which then keeps the flywheel rolling on that sort of thing. So definitely looking forward to your outbound tips and tricks, because that's not I've never done too much outbound, but I would like to do more at some point, and maybe you're gonna crack it for us and give us all your secrets and make a video about it, make a course about it.
That's the goal. That's the goal. We're gonna crack it. Steve has a friend who is like a proper salesperson, and historically has been selling to Series A and Series B companies, and like that's his real job. And so Steve talks to him a lot, and there's a chance there will be some content around sales, because I think sales, everything is content. I think sales for founders is another woefully underappreciated niche in the market, and so we're headed that direction.
Just there's stuff out there, but it's also very overwhelming seeming. It's like, well, you got to spin up 42 domains, and you got to buy all these services, and you got to do all this stuff, which maybe at a certain point you do, but also like, I just email the people that I sort of already have access to is like probably a much more approachable start, and then scaling up more linearly versus starting at the end of we have 100 fake domains that we're mass emailing out of and all that. But
nah, I don't like that. So 3 years from now, Steve and I will own a giant warehouse that's super aesthetic. We'll have a course on sales. We'll be selling these database courses, many tens of $1,000s a month. It's gonna be good.
Advertisers, big advertisers, advertising.
Yep.
And then that leads into what you'll be doing, which is try hard offsites, whatever that is. I don't know what that is. Was that something I can go to? But that's on the list here. So what's that? That's
so we're having our first company offsite. So
okay.
Me and Kelsey are gonna go to Boise, and we're gonna hang out with Steve for 2 days, and we're gonna scheme and plan and do stuff. Yeah. So I think it's like November 11th. We're headed up there.
Wait, aren't you having your surgery like early November?
Yeah. I think November like 1st or 2nd or something.
When's your San Francisco trip?
Tomorrow.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
All right.
Is that all good? Does that pass the sniff test?
I don't know. That's surgery. I did Amsterdam like 3 days after my surgery, or 4 days or something, for with Laracon EU, the first Laracon EU, and I would say it wasn't great. It was a little bit.
3 days. 3 days is too soon. Amsterdam is too far. So let's see. Surgery is on November 4th. So you'll need to get a guest co-host for Monday the 4th.
Ooh.
And then I go to Boise, on the 11th. So that's a full week. Okay. That seems fine.
Yeah.
Right?
You'll get iced down. You'll be all right.
Yeah, it seems fine.
You're not like running around, you're just like sitting around.
No.
Chatting.
What am I going to do? I'm not going to go ride bikes or anything. Forget that.
Yeah. So we're going to go offsite. All right.
We are, and we have a lot of things we want to do, and we're going to try to plan them out. Put a little schedule together, and it's going to be great.
Are you videoing this?
That's a great question. We are now.
There you go. At least some chunks of it. You don't have to release the whole thing.
Gotta do it.
I feel like the building of Try Hard, like this is a whole series that like has like a weekly-ish vibe to me. And so you're gonna need a lot of content. Like when you're doing something, it needs to be recorded, or every other week or something. You want to have like a regularity to it, I feel like.
Yeah.
Well, a bit of it, a 3-hour segment you record and kind of talk about some stuff, like the kit people have been doing, with like their rebrand stuff. It's
right.
I've watched all those videos. They're really interesting, just kind of like behind the curtain of how you do that sort of thing. So you're gonna be all over.
Yeah,
getting the freaking flyer miles. Look at this guy.
Oh man, you know what's the best thing in the world?
Airline points.
Having Kelsey do stuff.
Yes, employees are awesome. I love employees.
It's awesome. We said, hey, we're going to Boise. She was like, do you want me to book your flights? I was like, you bet I do. And so she sent me a screenshot of a little spreadsheet that was like, she didn't even send me a link to the spreadsheet, because I don't want to open a spreadsheet. I don't want to open a spreadsheet. I got stuff I got to do.
Nah, you're a busy man.
She sent me a screenshot, and it had departing flights were numbered 1 through 4, and returning flights were numbered 5 through 8. And I just said, let's do number 1 and number 7, and that was it.
There you go.
And it's done. It's just done. It's the best thing ever.
Oh man,
it's the best thing ever. So yeah, the first Try Hard Offsite's coming up.
Are you renting a space for that, or what are you doing there?
I don't know.
Just coffee shop it and wander around.
Probably coffee shop it / Steve's house it, because he lives there. So, and the hotel we're staying at is super awesome and downtown and very aesthetic. So if we do end up recording, we could do some stuff there. But I don't know. It's gonna be pretty low key. Last time I spent time in the coffee shop, and then I scootered over to Nathan Barry's Kit Studios, and then scootered over back to the hotel, and it was like totally perfect. So I imagine it'll be something like that.
They got the limes there, or equivalent, I take it.
Yep.
I love limes. So
you know what? We could actually just book Kit Studios probably.
That would be fun to do something there.
Just book
maybe
one of them. Yeah. Problem is, I'm not a Kit customer, but maybe I could just get by on being folksy.
Yeah, it could be tricky. I don't know. It's a hard requirement. You can just sign up for an account and be like, I'm a customer now.
Yeah,
so it costs you like $20 for access to the studio for a day.
Yeah, it's not bad.
But I don't know, that's kind of a more formal thing. I kind of want to like see video of you guys at a coffee shop, like chatting, and then like walk through the park, and I don't know. You're at Steve's house and you're meeting his wife, and
I'm so excited for this new lifestyle era. It's gonna be awesome. It's gonna be so fun.
Yeah, I want the Aaron Francis lifestyle videos. That's what I'm looking for. You got to bring. What about
It's
the
gonna be
kid? Are
great.
you bringing the kid? No, he hasn't earned that yet. Since you
No,
haven't
I'm not
actually
gonna
worked
bring
with
the
him
kid.
yet.
Yeah, I don't know him. I don't know him yet, and it seems like a lot to bring him up there for that.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Where's Kelsey
So
live?
Kelsey lives somewhere.
That's probably true.
Potentially Iowa.
Interesting. I like
There's
how you're
no
just throwing
difference
darts at a
between
board here.
there's no difference between Idaho, Iowa, and Ohio. Those are the same places.
Well,
And
see,
so
now
she
to
lives
me, I don't know about that.
she
I
lives
don't know
in
about
one of those
Ohio.
places.
See, to me, Ohio is very different. I'm with you on Idaho and Iowa, and maybe Nebraska I would lump in there.
I don't know where that is. Yeah, I
Yeah.
think Steve lives in Idaho. I'm
Okay,
confident
yeah,
of
but
that. So she
yeah.
lives in Iowa. I think that's
Okay.
right.
The Buckeye State. No, that's the other one. Is that
Yeah,
Ohio?
that's what I'm saying. The Buckeye
Yeah,
State.
Buckeye. Which one's the
Something I
Buckeye
know
State?
for sure.
Iowa.
So there's the
Yeah,
Try
it's the
Hard
Buckeye State.
Empire update.
Hold on, I gotta look this up. No, my brain. No, it's Ohio. Okay. Yeah. Ohio.
Right, well, I'll look up where Kelsey actually lives. K.R. Petrick, is that her? Yeah, K.R. Petrick lives in Iowa, USA. Iowa. Is that what I said?
You did. Sort
That's
of.
great.
You hedged it, but yeah.
I hedged. I super hedged because I still
don't know
where
anybody
Iowa
in
is.
Iowa. Who lives in Iowa?
Kelsey.
I don't think I know anybody who lives in Iowa.
Kelsey.
I know Kelsey now.
Kelsey lives in Iowa.
I know Idaho. I know Nebraska. I don't know.
This is maybe my most embarrassing thing. I could probably pick out 6 or 7 United States, like cold.
I just want to be clear.
Maybe 8 or 10. Maybe 8 or 10.
We had a whole argument about Mars and rockets and space.
Different planet.
You don't know anything about geography. You don't
Not
know
a
anything
thing.
about the space things that are in space already. So everybody out there who took Aaron's side might just want to reconsider a little bit. You might just want to think about your sources. I can name all 50 states right now. Let's do it.
could name them. I could name probably.
You could name them, but you can't. You don't know where they are.
I could probably name 49, if not 50 states. There's probably one I'm forgetting. There's probably one I'm forgetting. But yeah, pointing them out on a map. Once you get north of Oklahoma, they all look the same.
Texas
Once you get into the northeast,
system. This is why I can't move to Texas.
Nah, there are lots of reasons you can't move to Texas, but yeah, geography is not my strong suit. Also, I don't care. I don't care. That's a big part of it. I just don't care.
That is part of it. I like
knowing where Ohio is does me zero good. Does me zero good.
Man, I know the state's cold, man. You could just throw up an outline of a state. Boom.
No freaking way.
Boom,
they're all rectangles.
Virginia.
They're all rectangles. Nope.
Colorado. It's a square. I can still nail it. No problem.
I could get Colorado. Yeah, I don't need to list the ones I could get because there's only like 10 of them. But yeah, I could get several of them.
Oh goodness gracious! All right. I don't know. We got anything else? I don't really have anything else. I don't have anything this week.
Chris Morrell sent us a link to an actual home services company that does exactly what we were talking about, which seems interesting. He says it's mediocre because you don't have control over who shows up.
They just send you randos.
They send you randos. Someone else sent me a link to one as well, but I forgot who.
But even that rando, it's kind of a rando when you get them too, though. Like,
it is.
I don't know anything about them. I'm just like, okay, well, I guess that sounds all right. And then they are good or they're bad or whatever. But yeah, it's probably not going to happen. I don't know.
No other follow-ups. Unless you have got any good emails or anything.
I don't have anything. I feel like there was something else we need to talk about, but damn it, I can't think of it.
That's why you got to put it on the cards, man. You got to get back to the cards.
So busy, man. This like past couple weeks, just totally insane. Moved the parents, cleared out the house.
Are you still doing a project you're not telling me about?
No time for projects.
Oh, it's unbelievable.
I really want to build this project too, and you'll love it. Producer Dave will lose his mind if I even tell him.
He doesn't know.
I can't even tell him. No, I can't tell him. He'll love this project, so I can't even tell him.
You got to tell me. You have to either do it or decide not to do it and tell me what it is. I don't like this.
I want to do it.
I don't like this. I'm not going to do it, and I'm also not going to tell you.
What do you think about this? So this is kind of an inspiration from you.
Okay.
So all my ideas, like literally 100% of my ideas I've ever had are very like high probability. That doesn't mean they always work, but they're like, hey, this is an existing thing, an existing market.
Okay.
If you do a good job with it and you market it right and you build it right, you're going to probably do fine, especially on the scale that I needed to do fine on, which is not huge.
So if you market it right, you build it right, you're probably going to do fine.
Yeah, well, that's how most things are, right? But like, as opposed to like, I'm going to send rockets and land them, which is a crazy thing to do, right? And it's unlikely to succeed. But once in a while you do, and that's cool, right? And that's great.
That's awesome.
So that always makes me feel a little bit like, do I just want to build a thing that's like probably going to do okay? And if it doesn't, but it has a high probability of success, it's not really taking a risk per se. There's always a financial risk in your time and all that, but it's not like pushing the boundaries of anything. It's like, yeah, this product category exists. This will be another entrant in it, and it's my take on it. And maybe there's some interesting bits to it. But you know, that's kind of what it is. Versus like, oh, this thing doesn't exist at all, and that would be fun and interesting to build something that doesn't exist at all. But I don't even ever have those ideas. Like, those ideas don't even cross my mind. I have none of those ideas.
You're too practical.
So
You're too business
too practical.
Dad. Yeah,
I'm very business dad. So that's where I also feel like, A, I just don't have any time right now, but B, I'm a little bit like, when I get a little time, hopefully in the coming months, like, do I want to spend it on thing that is reliable and probable and has a high let's say probability of success is 25%, which is like pretty high for like a new business venture. Let's just say that. Or do I want to find something that's 1% and be like, hey, this is probably not going to work, but maybe it'll be interesting. Maybe it'll be more fun to talk about in the show than kind of a standard business thing. Whatever.
Is it lower chance of success with better outcome?
Well, I mean, usually the 1% thing is the thing that has the better outcome, right? Because it's like,
oh, but you don't have a 1% idea.
No,
you're just saying, should I wait around for a potential big swing? Got it.
Do I want to have like a little side thing I work on that is just another practical B2B
straight
type
down
app,
the middle?
Straight down the middle.
Yeah.
You know, it has some different takes on things, but ultimately, like, it's a product category that exists and people use it and people buy it, and there's no like doubt about any of that. Like, the market is 100% sure. Versus like, you know, other types of things that might be out there that the market's not 100% sure, and that vibe. I don't know.
I got the easy way to answer that. You just got to figure out what you want out of your life. That's it.
Got to figure out what I want to do in my life, and then that's it. Yeah,
that's it. That's easy. Because if you want something stable that makes money, that is just like kind of boring, there's your answer. If you want to do, if you have stability and you want to do something more fun, take a little bit of a swing, you want to live your life, maybe you go for the 1% chance.
Well, here's the other thing. So, but that's the problem, is I never have those kind of ideas. But maybe the side project thing, if I stick with the idea I have that I do like, but the different part about it is I'm talking about it on the show, I'm doing it in public more, because like that's not something I've ever really done that much of. I'm more of a like build it and when it's done, here it is kind of guy. Versus I'm talking about Laravel newing it up and starting
content guy
and all the other stuff. Content guy. So it could be content guy as part of it. Maybe that's like the new angle that makes it interesting and fun, as opposed to like not so much the actual product is necessarily super exciting. Although it will be exciting for a certain group. But I don't know. But I have no time right now anyway. I'm at my parents' house 3 days a week. I'm running all around. I got no time. But hopefully in the coming weeks I have some time.
Here's what's going to happen. The people that are optimizing for business success in their life are going to DM you, and they're going to say, Ian, do the 25% one. Are you crazy? That makes so much sense. You're insane to do the other one. The people that are optimizing for something different are going to say, do the 1% one. That's so interesting. It could be fun. Are you crazy? And you're just going to feel like you're crazy. That's what's going to happen. It's like everybody tells me to do something different. Everybody thinks I'm crazy. I just have to decide what I want out of my life. Don't ask me how I know this, okay? Don't ask me how I understand these things.
Here's the only rub on that. So that's your previous situation, and
interesting. You saw right through that. Okay.
What I want, if you say if you're the person who's going to DM me and say I should do the 1% idea, also send me the 1% idea, because I actually don't have a 1% idea. So if you have a crazy idea that you want me to be involved with, then you could go ahead and DM me your crazy idea, and maybe that'll be cool, and I'll think that's awesome, and we can work something.
There you go.
There you go. There's your opportunity.
This is your chance, folks. All right.
All righty. We'll keep it tight this week. Even this
Oh,
hour
yeah.
5. We could talk about Mars some more. It's a possibility.
No.
No,
We're
we're
not
good.
doing. I don't have
We're good for
the
now?
emotional bandwidth to talk about Mars some more.
All right. Thanks everybody for listening. Follow us, mostlytechnical.com, at mostlytechnicalpod, mostlytechnicalpodcast@gmail.com. Like and subscribe. Watch on YouTube, which is how a lot of people do consume us.
Got to grow the empire.
They want our beautiful faces.
That's right.
Coiffed beards. So we will see you next week. And then the week after, we'll have a guest host,
That's
apparently.
Right.
So that's going to be exciting.
Let us know who we should have on.
Oh, yeah. Let us know who we should have on. That's a really good idea. All right. Let us know who we should have on. We'll try to make that happen. And talk to you later. Bye.
See ya.